Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. So today we are continuing with a conversation that we had about secrets and what to do, how to manage, things of that sort. But now that the secret is out, now what? So some individuals have already been exposed, whether the spouse found something under the cabinet, around the back corner, behind a wall, a floorboard, in a car, or someone just simply told someone, look, this one has been lying to you. This one is full of you know what, and girlfriend or boyfriend, you need to let that one go. Or someone has been written up, laid off, or terminated. Well, a lot, right? But we are going to deal with this head on. This is a conversation that for some of you all, they don't know that you know some things, but you know that at some point you're going to have to say something. So let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about the one who is about to be exposed or the one who is already exposed. Secrets, lies, and cover-ups. A safe topic. Let's think about a public figure. One that's caught in a scandal. Maybe a business leader under fire, or a church dealing with some type of internal conflict that we can't discuss out there in the public or else, right? Or maybe a family that's struggling with the family secrets, those hidden truths, okay? Either way, there's one question that's going to remain the same, whoever it might be, whatever the situation is, and that is, well, what happens next? What happens when this secret is revealed, when this lie is exposed, when the cover-up is no longer a cover-up? How are we going to move forward from this personally, professionally, spiritually, mentally? You all know the rest, right? The truth has come to light. I asked the Lord this in my moment of quiet. And in the spiritual realm, I felt moved to address this, okay? Because people in the circle are going to get caught with their hand in the cookie jar once again. It might be small to some of us on the outside looking in, but it's a big deal if the spouse finds out once again that that one has not kicked the habit, whatever that habit might be. So, continuing with the safe topic. We've got the celebrity, the entrepreneur, the business owner. They're caught in a scandal. The PR team shows up, and I learned a thing or two about this in my days of being that aspiring journalist. The PR team shows up, and they're going to, once everything is out, we've got to do something about it. So there's damage control. Some of you all, the reason why you're not hearing about everything about everyone that you really want to hear about is because certain people who are in powerful positions are tied, interwoven, intertwined, like grandma with her crochet needle, putting together the blanket for the next holiday season that she plans on giving to someone. They're mixed up in the foolishness, okay? They're caught up. And so when they're mixed up, caught up in, the PR teams have to come up with a solution in terms of how we are going to make people think that what they see isn't what they see, and what they hear isn't what they hear, and what they know isn't what they know. Think of some of the companies like Volkswagen back in the day when they had their emission scandal. Or what about Wells Fargo with their fake accounts? Okay? Lord Jesus, I'm in school right now, so sorry if I'm going to start sounding like a textbook, but I am. One of the things that we're learning right now is strategic management when it comes to these corporations, how they go about making money, saving money, bringing about new opportunities, how they deal with threats. And wow, it's vicious. It's vicious how some of these companies deal with threats to their establishment. Lord Jesus, it's a lot to this. So what some of these companies do is when they see that the damage is there, oh my goodness, there's someone on the team that's going to say, how bad is it this time? Because sometimes there were other times. So there's the public statement that goes out. Sometimes it is one where someone is apologizing. Other times it is a statement where I vehemently deny that that ever happened. You see. And sometimes it's a legal document of some sort. Then what they do is they've got to rebuild this trust in the fan base, or they've got to make sure that the board, the investors, right? Anyone who's a stakeholder, we've got to make sure that they're going to be, calm down, and no one's going to start dumping stocks, okay? They might even fire some people just because we want justice. We need something done now that our houses have burned down. Now that the floods have taken over and all of our property has been damaged. And someone's head better roll. And so they'll find someone's head to roll. Even though, didn't you just praise this person? Didn't you say that the group, for instance, didn't you say that this person was doing a wonderful job and now suddenly they lose their job? You see? Because public wants justice. So heads are rolling. Then someone is looking at the finances and how are we going to make wrongs right? So there may be a settlement of some sort. Okay? I mean, this is consistent behavior when it comes to scandals. They have to manage what is happening. And so they might even call in a new team and get rid of the old team to find out what caused this to show up, to begin, to be covered up, to be lied about in the first place. And how do we make sure that this never happens again? Okay? The marketing campaign, good marketing. We've got to make sure that we change how people see us. So there may be a new name, a new logo, a new mission, a new vision. There may be the buying of various properties, companies. They may even decide to merge with existing companies. Hey, you're running into some problems with your finances, right? Well, yeah, we are. Okay, yeah, because we saw that last income statement. Somebody leaked that. So you need some help, don't you? And we need some help too. So how about we build up some alliances here and we just work together to make some things happen. Okay? And so there's a shake, and, now we've got a deal. Some past figures who had their share of scandals but recovered was Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods wasn't always the Tiger Woods that received the recognition in the White House. He did, or his team did a wonderful job recovering that image. You see. Enron executives. You see. Now, in their situation. I'm sorry, we can't save you. You see. So holding someone accountable to the lie, to the secret, to the cover up is something that is demanded. And how you go about holding yourself accountable if you're the guilty party or holding someone else accountable, the believer knows to pray about such things. Okay? Being honest, that's biblical. Of course, there is honesty in the conversation, honesty in how you communicate via email, right? There are people that are around you. If they're honest, they're going to encourage you. Just be honest. You're already exposed. The video's already out there. You see. The lie was already told. And now the truth has come forth. But what do some of the wicked do? A lie on top of a lie on top of a lie. And then, of course, the public, they want something meaningful. Something that makes them feel at least somewhat at peace. You see. So that's the world, right? The worldly organizations. Just a glimpse of how they do some things. And I've been looking at case study after case study. I've been listing issues of some of the most popular companies in the world. Looking at facts, making assumptions, coming up with alternatives, the status quo, as well as other alternatives that could be able to make situations better than what they are. And it all boils down in these case studies to making money and saving money. And sometimes I will tell you that my head hurts. Going through these case studies, my eyes roll, but this is good. Oh, this is good information. This is the type of thing that, in terms of knowledge that I have every intention of using. Okay? You see, we're not only about knowing some things about the street, but we also know some things about how corporations do what they do. Let's talk about the church. Since this channel, we often talk to believers. And we've got some itching ears when it comes to the church and the lies and the secrets and the cover-ups. And how are we going to manage this arguing behind the scenes? There was a scandal a long time ago where my mother invited me to this church. And she was excited about this church. And I went with her and I felt some things in the spirit. I was new, just coming to know Jesus and learning a thing or two about the spiritual side of things. So going from my worldly education into the spiritual realm, and my goodness. And this was one of those churches where I did approach a minister with a word, and it was a very bold word. And he was one of those try-hard ministers. The type that are trying really hard to shake up the audience and get them on their feet. And they're doing it in such a way where it looks phony. And I know someone is saying right now, no, you didn't. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I listened to the Lord. Before I did it, I prayed. But I did say in the most loving and sweet and kind way to stop. What am I doing, sister? You're coming across as fake. You're trying too hard. Yes, that is sometimes the kind of missions that I'm on. Okay? And mind you, I was invited. So this isn't my church home. Oh. And my mother was very concerned about what I went down the aisle and told that man. And she saw his mannerisms and the look on his face. And I said, I'll talk to you about it once we leave. Okay? Well, God was still working. He was still working. I didn't go to the church again because there were a couple more churches on the agenda to go visit and look around and allow the Lord to move as He wanted. Now, she calls me up about a couple weeks later from that visit, and she tells me, I just want you to know, girl, there's a scandal going on. What? Yeah, some folk is sleeping around with some folk that's married. So it was a little worse than just a person putting on an act. Okay. It was a cover-up. The person who wasn't supposed to be preaching that day wasn't preaching that day because he was trying to put a fire out. So, me being a visitor and God using me in the way that He did, the man, that wasn't even his calling. But there's a fire in the background, you see, that needs to be put out. And the truth showed up. And needless to say, she didn't return back to that church. When leaders are corrupt, when money even, because there were churches, once again, been on my little missions, where they mismanaged money, there's a fall from grace of some sort. Okay? And sooner or later, churches close. Or the best of the best end up leaving and going somewhere else or starting their own church. And some people are considering on doing that. If you happen to come across this message and you've got a scandal of sorts at your church home and you feel like God is calling you to start your own church, let this message be confirmation for you, sir, ma'am. Okay? Luke 12:2 says, there is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. It will be made known sooner or later, the lie, the secret, the cover-up. If a church is transparent, for instance, like some of the churches that I recently visited, they were very transparent about their monies that were brought in last year. While other churches, not so transparent. If anything, still give me type of mindset. But what's going on with the monies, right? Over the years, for instance, this channel, I've told you, I said, look, here's what the situation is. Got to pay for the internet. Wouldn't mind a donation. Had a family medical crisis, set us back some years. Wouldn't mind some help. And then we could take partial proceeds and help out with some of these other things. So some of the messages got pushed thanks to some generosity, and some individuals were able to get more subscribers thanks to their help. You see, when there's transparency, we're like, okay, I don't mind giving to this one. You see, when bills got to get paid, you don't mind saying, okay, well, I know that it costs because I had to move myself. I had to get this, that, and the other done. But when you got a church, for instance, in one situation, the minister is concerned about traveling. When meanwhile, God, He spoke to me and told me that this wasn't the time, the season to be going anywhere other than to deal with things on the home front. Then why am I going to a church that you already got your share of dramas and traumas and issues and whatever else that need to be paid for? Why is people talking about vacations? Why is people talking about donation to some entertainment? And then the crowd, that's why you got to know thy circle. The crowd that one is talking to are people who, like we say on this channel, broke, busted, and disgusted. If you want somebody to pay for something like that, then maybe you need to go where those people are who they travel to. But you don't go to an audience where, when's the last time, girlfriend, that you was able to go traveling, girl? Okay? And when was the last time that you were able to buy what you always wanted to buy? Like never. You see, sometimes I know we get a little excited about some things, but this isn't the time for all of that. So someone who may have been harboring this secret desire, well, it showed up in the church. You see, sometimes you can reveal the desires of your heart, and God will allow this sort of thing so that people who can will help, and people who can't won't. And sometimes it's just men who, oh, I forgot, I wasn't supposed to say that. You see, the church that my mother had invited me to years ago, it was broken. It was broken behind the scenes for a long time. And then eventually, the truth shows up. People got hurt. People no longer wanted to attend. King David is an example in the Bible. We've mentioned this in the past many times about his sin, right, with Bathsheba. You can never read that story enough before you learn something else. And you know that King David was responsible for Bathsheba's husband's unaliving. Okay? And who ends up exposing David was a prophet, Prophet Nathan. This is what makes some ministers a bit nervous, and it may have made your stomach churn a little bit when you heard me say that I spoke to the minister and I said what I said. Okay? I know that for some people, oh, I don't agree with, and it doesn't matter what you agree with. We are all walking in ways that shock people. Okay? Because you might tell me something you did, and I would be like, well, I don't agree with that. You see? But it doesn't matter whether I agree or disagree. When God has a believer on the move to speak a word, and that word is cutting, it's convicting, it exposes, truth shows up, we just watch. Because see, you could stand in front of the narcissist, and I said this in an old message. You can stand in front of the narcissist so busy trying to cover for the narcissist, protect the narcissist, love on the narcissist, and then you end up being swept by the flood that God intends on dumping on the narcissist. Oh, stick it out with me. Come on now, you can do it. Don't be in your feelings. That's why I said that we need some people to stop with the celebrity worship and get real. When you have a wicked nation, as a relative stated to another relative, when you have a wicked nation gets a wicked leader. When you have people running amok, doing all sorts of things that God never intended, what did you think was going to happen? At least when David, going back to the biblical example, at least when David was told about his sin, he humbled himself. Some of you all are called to tell a minister, tell a deacon, tell a son, tell a daughter, a spouse, a business owner, a manager, a supervisor, something that they're doing wrong. Period. Point blank and simple. Wrong. And rather than be like David and humble themselves, they're not going to do that. And you know it. That's why for some of you all, you keep letting people get away with some stuff because you don't want to deal with their mouth. They don't humble themselves. They start cussing and fussing and acting up, and some start acting threatening. Oh, Jesus, what do we do? Now that the lie is out there, now that someone's being exposed, now that I'm the one put up to doing something that seems so, oh my goodness, terrible and wrong, but is actually right and is what is going to bring the church in good standing, my God. Jesus, what do I do? Because some folks know that the calling is on them. Now they're asking the Lord, what's next? And that's why you're here. That's why you're listening to this. You have to be like the prophet Nathan. And you can study a bit more about the prophet Nathan. We have a family full of secrets. Ooh. I told some of you all in the past, many of them, I'm going to take these secrets to my grave. Yep, and you're going to be held accountable to them secrets on the other side. You thought you were going to check out of here with them secrets. But we got some people above ground. And then the truth shows up. The hidden affair. Somebody being deceptive with the finances, saying that I didn't spend that money, and you know you really did. Or I spent it on such and such. Well, that was part of the truth, but you didn't say the whole truth. And nothing but the truth, so help you God. You see, some folks wasn't 100. They were not fully telling the truth. Some folks said that this baby is his baby, pointing to that man that they always wanted to be the father, but it's really not his baby. That baby is somebody else's baby. Okay? So lots of very, very disturbing secrets. And you thought that what you saw on the internet was juicy. No, you need to turn your eyes onto that family of yours. Next holiday event is going to be wild for some people. I'm already, you know how it is when in the spiritual realm I jump ahead. Some of you all who've been listening for a while, I'm already over there almost at Christmas. While at the time of this recording, you're somewhere in what? Spring? And Christmas shows up. And you're going to say, what is going on? That's why it's just best to just skip Christmas this year. Some people who are planning on that, just skip it. Just skip it. I'm getting you prepared months in advance. And some of you others, you see what's happening in the nation, right? With this is being cut off and this is being cut back. And this is survival mode. The priority gets taken care of, and that is your family. Nothing else. The rich, they know how to write off their losses. Your family is priority. That means that the very important things that your family needs, that's what you focus on. The wishing for this and wishing for that, you know, like the wish list, leave that alone. There's a lot of people who have showed us that they don't care about the average hardworking American. Okay? But some of you all, you are trying your hardest to make them care. And I commend you. But I also know, though, that this God, he's allowing some things to happen because systems do need to be dismantled. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable all the more. But you got this family, though, that the lie, the secret, the cover-up, you might be the one who exposed. But you know that this dysfunctional family of yours, they don't like it when things show up, especially about them. Maybe you were connected to this one who ended up telling you to do, and some of you all know the rest. They want you to sweep things under the rug. They want you to deny that what you saw was what you saw, and don't you bring that back up again. And I don't know who you've been listening to, but you know that we don't play over here. And I mean all of the threats and all of that, you see. But you're going to go and you're going to press forward. One particular co-worker years ago told me that he wanted to come out. He wanted to finally come out. He wanted to tell his family what was what. And he decided to do it as we were nearing a holiday event. And he did. But part of that secret was also tied into abuse. Okay? And this wasn't just an abuse that happened here, over there, in a room somewhere. It was in a church where the abuse took place. And it was the family's church. Okay? We interviewed him on this channel. He's on the playlist on interviews. And it was very disheartening for his family. It was very disheartening for the parishioners, because this involved a report to the local police station, okay? Which means that someone was going to lose their position. If you are the one that's caught, and this is something that's so heavy that you're looking at the possibility of going to jail for, this is something that God wants you to talk to him about. Don't worry about, well, what is that going to do? This is something that you want God to handle. You've talked about it, then let God work. We are not going to be guilty of things and not face a consequence, whether it is now or later, you see, depending on what that is. And so that youth minister had to pay the price for that, you see. Some folks get out. After all that information, after all that evidence, some people get out. God has a way of showing up even in those interesting situations. You know he's wicked. You know he's sinful. You know he did all those bad things to those women and to the children and what he was mixed up in, and yet he gets away. But not for long. Sometimes people, and some of the street know this, sometimes people, they get released to knock some other people off their A game, off their square. Their bot. Because we really don't have enough to pin somebody on this charge and that one. So, well, we release them and then we'll end up getting what we need, because they're going to slip up. People like this always slip up, and then we'll be able to get them all. You see. Or at least get enough information that we can get about 20, 30, 40% of them gone. Careers ruined. Consequences are there, my friend. And you want God to keep you strong. You want God to humble your heart. You want God to protect you. You want resources. You want a lot of things. And sometimes, in order to get those things, all you have is God. So, someone has been betrayed. And we talked about betrayal in the past. And that secret is pretty cutting. In situations, especially when it comes to relationships, and even counselors will tell you this, experts, you will have to confront that person. Now, you can do it with a third party where you don't even have to ever talk to them. And that could be when it comes to legal issues. You can have a police officer present. But your safety is important. This business of just going up to someone and just telling them how you feel, knowing that there's a track record of mental illness, knowing that people can get physical very quickly. You don't want to be by yourself when it's that deep, that dark, that cutting. Never by yourself. And then if you're the guilty one, we can't promise that a man or a woman is not going to jump on you. God, this same God and free will, remember that? That person has free will to do the right thing, but then that person also has free will to do the wrong thing. So safety is of utmost importance. Matthew 18:15 says, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. So there are conversations that are going on. They can happen in the behind closed doors, or you can have these conversations publicly. It's up to you how you want to handle this. But we have said this in past audio. Healing is going to take time. The coworker, his personal journey toward healing, it has taken years. Trust has been violated. How can you expect someone to trust you if you are the one exposed? So you understand that trust is going to have to be rebuilt. Reconciliation, let's not talk so quickly about reconciliation as soon as someone found out something about someone. You know what I mean? And I don't like that. Because sometimes this secret lie or cover up is to separate. It is to divide. That person got involved with that person and shouldn't have. It is God's grace and mercy that things weren't worse. So why are we sending victims back to abusers? I don't agree with that. I don't care that she said, well, I would just want to make things work. I want to make things work too. And meanwhile, they got the most toxic relationship going. You know when things are never meant to be. Because the writing is on the wall every step of the way. He's still lying. He's still being secretive. He's still covering up. After 20, 30, 40 some years. And you want to say, well, it's okay. It's all right. No. Well, I did some things. Well, if you want to stick around. But abuse? No. The Lord, He is not in support of that. Anytime a God is telling us about love, and love some more, I think we should listen to love, not manipulation. Because some people are in those witchy relationships. And witchcraft is nothing more than manipulation. The enemy meant for your secret, for your lie, for your cover-up to stay hidden. Because this way, evil could continue to grow. But the day that you decided that you were going to tell, possibly, you, or rather than someone else, the day that you decided to say, I'm going to tell on myself, is the day that you set your own self free. Hallelujah. You are no longer held captive by the enemy. What the enemy meant for evil, God meant for good. Genesis 50:20. So exposing oneself, or one who has already been exposed, is not the end. It is not the end. It is the beginning of what God is going to do in that person's life and in the people's lives that the guilty had impacted. If it wasn't for the neighbor exposing me and the person who I was involved with at the time by calling the police and telling the police, this is what I'm hearing. These people have a history of this sort of thing. You all better come out here, because I think this time this man is trying to take this woman out. You wouldn't be listening to this message today. Some individuals who have gotten my artwork in various cities wouldn't have those paintings today. Others who have read the books wouldn't have gotten understanding for their own situations. This is what God does when we finally decide to walk with Him. He frees us. He sets us free from what others for years told us. You don't need to be telling them people that. You need to keep your business to yourself. What those people don't know who tell you to keep your mouth shut is the calling that God has on your life. He has a purpose and He has a plan, and one of those plans will expose people who have hurt you, who have used you, who have taken advantage, right? And if you learn from them and you carried on in their ways, then the plan at this point is for you to expose yourself and get right with the Lord. Sometimes the exposing oneself is just behind closed doors. Nobody knows. No, nobody knows anything. So then you expose yourself to God and say, I know you saw what I've done. And so here's what I need. I need to stop doing this. How do I go about doing this? And there are going to be external ways of getting that healing, getting that freedom. Absolutely. Because if we were so good at fixing things on our own, how come they weren't fixed? I'm asking somebody that question. If you're so good, how come you still struggling with what you're struggling with? The lie, the secret, the cover up. Sometimes it seems small to everyone else. I've been holding on to Mama's secret for years. Okay. So what you want to do with Mama's secret? I mean, if you tell certain relatives, here's what's going to happen. Some people are going to love you. Some people are going to hate you. Well, I guess I'll just keep it to myself. Okay. If that's your choice. Notice, did you hear me judging anybody, getting all in my feelings about it? Because their conscience in time whips them right into making the right decision. Especially when people are still being hurt by Mama's secret. Some people, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finally tell. You're going to finally tell what? You might not want to tell them. You might want in advance. You might want to say, you know what? I know she going to tell me don't do this and don't do that. She always does that. So then you do what you feel led to do. But once again, safety first. You can talk with counselors. Counselors will ask you, well, why do you feel the need to say this? Well, and then you tell them the answer, and then they may say, well, that is something that you say you're a believer. Have you prayed to the Lord about it? Right? Is this something that's going to help yourself? Maybe you might not want to go in person with that. Maybe you want to just write the letter for safety reasons. Maybe you might want to say it, but then you might have to change your name, change your location, because this might be, a very powerful group, right? That one is affiliated with, and now they're talking to another powerful group about what they know. Some of these secrets are very, very heavy, very classified. And there are those who are martyrs. They know that what they're going to share with the public, they're going to lose their life. And we know that this God does have some individuals on that mission as well. We love our God and we love the people who are willing to make major sacrifices for the truth to come forth. Because the truth is indeed setting some people free. It really is. It looks chaotic. It looks wild. It looks like something I'm not accustomed to. I don't know if this is right. I mean, what does my pastor say about it? And some of them are in pocket, so you're not necessarily going to get the truth out of them. Especially when their 501c3s are on the line. Hello. And when a lot of these establishments, not just churches, but a lot of these businesses that have received government monies, it's going to be kind of hard to get transparency, get the truth for some of these individuals and organizations. And that's all the more reason why we lean on God. A lot of organizations are being closed. A lot of people are losing jobs. A lot of things are happening. And as much as people prayed and prayed for times like these not to show up, they're here. And so we've got to ride the waves with the Lord. Okay? We've got to ride the waves with the Lord, and we don't lean on our own understanding. We trust Him. So, for those of you all motivated by what you know is truth, no longer wanting to hold on to secrets, lies, and cover-ups, you can do like the world does, assess the damage, right? Put out a statement of some sort, but also understand that you've got a long road ahead to rebuild trust. You could be like the church, the healthy, functional church, being transparent. Look into the scriptures, right? Where truth is there for you to express what it is that you need to express. And then, of course, accepting prayer and praying for others that they might be healed from what they've heard, what they've experienced. And then I gave you the example of the families, right? And their family secrets and the deceptions and people cheating and creeping and babies not being people's babies and all of that. And there's various legal ways to handle situations, or if people are willing to not get law involved and they can handle situations among the brethren, then so be it. But it's all going to take some time. It's all going to take some time. So, we're praying. Just want you to know we are praying for those individuals who have listened to the series about secrets. And we're praying that this Lord that we serve, this God that we serve, that He will guide people, that those who are struggling with the burden of being exposed, that God is going to give them the wisdom, the humility, because there's some pride in some of these circles, and also the courage to make wrongs right. We're also praying that the people who have been hurt by the lies, the secrets, and cover-ups, that they will get healing as well as justice, depending on their situations, peace, and also restoration where necessary. We also want individuals to allow God to lead them before they speak, just in case there are those who still don't know about some things. And we want them to live their lives going forward, being honest and true, and when at the workplace, being a man or woman of integrity. So, if you would like to pray about these issues concerning individuals who lately have been exposing themselves, telling the truth, these are just some guide points in terms of praying for those people. Listener, I really hope that you will come to grips with the truth that you've recently heard and live your final days walking this earth in righteousness. That's our God. That's what He expects of us. Get into your word, study, show thyself approved, confess sin, repent, accept Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior, and put yourself in someone else's shoes when it comes to these last secrets and cover-ups. I thank you. I thank you for listening. May the Lord be with you as well as those that you love. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to listen. By all means, do check the description box, and blessings to you.